When Lotus debuted the Eletre back in 2022, there was a subset of commentary online that some people didn't seem that overly impressed with what the company has done. The company's had a very vast and vibrant history of making combustion sports cars, anything from the Exige to the Elan and the Esprit. And for some people, the fact that the company was diving into the luxury car space and doing electric vehicles didn't seem to rub them the right way. However, I do think that, as you'll discover in this video, that this is incredibly impressive and it does deserve this Lotus badge. In the last 20 plus years, a lot of these sports car manufacturers like Ferrari, like Lamborghini and Aston Martin have started to add a luxury SUV to their product lineup. And for better or for worse, depending on how you look at it, that has helped keep those companies alive. A really, really good example and a company who started this whole trend of hyper SUVs is Porsche. And they launched the Cayenne back in 2002. And that basically helped save the company from bankruptcy. And a lot of these SUVs do drive really, really well, and this one especially. And that leads us on to this, the Lotus Eletre. So just some headline stats about this particular Lotus Eletre. It can do 160 miles per hour. It's got 112 kilowatt hour battery pack, 350 kilowatt DC charging. It costs over £100,000. It's got 603 horsepower and it can do 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. Around the front, the whole design is really, really striking actually, and that's helped in part by the solar yellow paint job and this contrasting black section down here. And as you can see, there's so many holes and fins and different things going on here, so let's dive into what's happening. So up the top we have got these boomerang L-shaped headlights, which are the daytime running lights, and they've got this lovely shape to them, very different to what's on the Emea. The Emea's got those two strips, whereas this one's a bit more unique looking. Really, really nice there. The main beams are down here, and that is quite a common thing in sort of a lot of these SUVs now, where the lights themselves are split up into two. And these main beams are really, really bright. They've got adaptive high beam support, like most cars now. And also with a click of a button inside, you can make them go into tourist mode, which will adapt them for the different side of the road. Really, really good there. This black section down here, I'm not sure how that will age, because it could get scratched quite easily. But if you want, you can spec this to be fully carbon fibre. So there is that option there as well. You can see the wasps quite like the yellow paint there. We've got loads of holes here. So there's this whole channel up here, which goes, it brings in air here, or it brings in air up here and exits over the bonnet. That's quite nice there. And then there is this section down here, which sort of diffuses any air pressure along the wheels there. You'll also notice down here we have got this triangle pattern, and this is the active aero system that's on the Eletre, and that is in combination with the spoiler at the back as well, which we'll look at a bit later. This whole system looks very complex, and all the triangles are open and closed based on how much cooling the car needs. At the moment the car is switched on and they are open. If you are charging, for example, they might open, and if the car needs to be more aerodynamic, they will close as well. We've got the Lotus badge up here, finished in yellow, and you can have the black pack, which will change the badging around the vehicle to black. This one has been finished in yellow. And also we do have the front-facing camera as well. The Eletre starts at £84,990. And when you compare that to other hyper SUVs on the market, ones that aren't even electric, that doesn't really seem that bad at all, especially when you compare it to a Range Rover, for example, which starts at £100,000. The lineup used to be S and R, with the S having 600 horsepower and the R having that all-famous 900 horsepower. However, pretty recently, Lotus has changed the lineup slightly, so now we have 600 and 900, replacing the S and R respectively. The one I have here on test is the 600 Sport SE, and with the option extras fitted to this particular car, it is actually £112,755. The most expensive version is the 900 Sport Carbon, and that is £139,990. If it isn't clear on camera, the Lotus Eletre is really, really big. It doesn't fit in most parking spaces properly, and it just is a big, wide and long car. In terms of length, it's actually 5,103 millimeters. It's 1,636 millimeters tall, and it's 2,231 millimeters wide. And also, because of that really large battery pack, the weight is unfortunately unavoidable. The Eletre weighs 2,645 kilograms. Now, despite being four-wheel drive, the Eletre also has a pretty decent frunk. This bonnet here is on gas struts, all nice and premium here, but plastic underneath here and a place to top up the washer fluid. And then we've got a bit of storage underneath here. It's actually 46 litres and it is just enough space to hold the Type 2 charging cable. Not bad at all. When I first saw the specs for charging and the battery on the Lotus Eletre, it really did blow me away. It seems like the engineering team at Lotus have been allowed to do their dream EV really, and it kind of does show, and it is quite telling. So every version of this vehicle has the same battery and it has the same charging performance. And we do have a 708 volt architecture, not quite 800, but it does support those rapid charging speeds, which is really good. And the charging flap itself is on the front left-hand side of the vehicle. And that kind of means that charging at V3 and V2 Tesla chargers can be a bit of a pain because it is on the wrong side for those chargers, but you can make it work. And the V4s do work fine because they've got those longer cables. You just saw there that the charging flap itself is electronically openable, and there are no charging bungs or charging flaps to get in the way, all quite simple really. And you can close this port or open it from the infotainment screen and from the Lotus app on your phone. So all versions have 350 kilowatt DC charging and 22 kilowatt AC for those three-phase overnight scenarios, but it does also support 7 and 11 kilowatt as well. The battery is also 112 kilowatt hours, and that is the total capacity of the battery. The usable capacity is 109 kilowatt hours. It is 708 volts, as I said, and all versions come with a heat pump as standard. All quite impressive. This is again the CCS2 combo port. This section here is for AC charging. You've got a small LED light to indicate what it's doing, so white or blue for ready, green for charging, and then red for any errors. And you can close the port there, all quite easy. To unlock the Eletre, that can be done in 3 different ways. The first of which is with an NFC card. And you get the NFC card and you can actually have up to 6 of these registered to the vehicle, which is quite useful if you've got a large family, for instance. To unlock the car with the key card, all you do is tap it on the B pillar, much like a Tesla, and you can get in the car. And then again, just to lock it, do the same thing again. That's all quite nice, and again, you can have up to 6 of those if you want. The other method is with a very unconventional key. It comes in this nice little leather pouch, and it is this tiny grey pebble, which is in the same shape as the Lotus emblem. To unlock the car, all you do is press the little logo there, and that unlocks the vehicle. And to lock it again, you just double press the icon. I'll lock everything for you. But this does also support sort of motion detection and presence detection. So if you get close to the car, like keyless entry and keyless start really, so that is quite nice. But if you want something a bit more slim, you can obviously use that NFC key card. The third of the methods to unlock the car is via the Apple Car Key. Now this feature is available on some BYD models, it's available on some Hyundai and Genesis cars, but you can also use it on the Lotus Eletre, and that adds an NFC key card to your iPhone and your Apple Watch, and you can just use that to unlock the car and start the car and share that car key with other people. Some nice little flexibility options in terms of unlocking the Eletre, and it's quite nice to see. I think it's pretty safe to say that the Lotus Eletre is one of the most premium and most luxurious models that the company has made to date. I do think that Lotus are now splitting into 2 separate things basically. You've got your luxury SUVs and luxury saloon cars with the Eletre and the Emea, and then you've got the sports cars like the Avaya and the Emira, and the 2 sections of the brand can coexist, and I think that's perfectly fine. And the interior fit and finish in here is absolutely exquisite, and I do think that's an understatement really, because everything in here that you touch doesn't feel cheap, doesn't rattle when you drive along. It just is screwed together so well, and it is so premium. And it's not just the fit and finish of the materials, it's the technology as well, which is just outstanding. And we're going to go over everything in this front interior in this section of the video. So first things first, when you configure the Eletre, it is really, really customizable. Lots of personalization in terms of materials and colors and just finishes on the center console here. It is really, really, you can get a unique looking car for your personal taste. So this one is finished in what's called Jasper leather, and it is Napa leather. And there is the choice of fabric, grey Napa leather, light grey leather, light gold, and a dark red, and they all do look quite nice. This one is also finished with red seat belts, and you can have the choice of a tri-colour seat belt, which is black, yellow and green, yellow and green being the iconic Lotus colours, and those also do look quite nice. Personally, I do quite like these ones with the red stitching and the red seat belts. Yellow and red for me doesn't go quite as well together, so I'd possibly choose the light grey with the yellow and green seat belts, but let me know what you would choose in the comments down below. As I said, it's just built really, really well, and it's nice to see you got a load of different options. The steering wheel on this particular one is finished in Napa leather as well, but you do have the choice of having this finished in Alcantara, but there is a load of Alcantara on the center console and all on the doors and on the headlining. It is just finished really, really well. This center console is finished in gloss black. This car is practically box fresh, and it does have a lot of dust and fingerprints over it for where I've driven it for the past week, but you can have the choice of having that finished in carbon fibre, which I personally wouldn't pick because it does look a little bit tacky, but the black gloss is perfectly fine. It does look quite nice. That is the only real place where the black gloss is. There's a little bit on the door here, but it's very, very minimal in terms of the look and feel really. And that optional extra for the carbon fibre does cost £2,500. Now you might be able to see it on camera, but it is quite a bright day today. But the LED ambient lighting in the interior is something to behold really. It is really, really customizable. It glows and animates when the car does certain things. So you've got this large LED light bar in the center, which at the moment is yellow. It does also glow in the door bins down here, in the footwells as well, and there's a separate LED light bar down here. It does all work nicely together. It does add a sense of customizable, sort of a customization to the front interior. It does work quite well. You can customize those colors. So if you come into lights, you can choose the default color, which is pink or red. You've got custom here, so you've got any color you want really, and then you can go in and adjust the brightness of the LED lighting if you want to as well, and you can completely turn it off. So you have got this green, you've got pinks and blues and purples. I quite like this orangey yellow. It goes together quite well. And you can see on the interior section here that it does dictate the ambient lighting in the back seats as well, and on the air vent in the back. It is quite nice there. These LED lights also pulse when the car does certain things. So when the car is charging, it will have a dotted green line that animates for a few minutes. And it will also show you how full the car is. There's also lighting on the back as well, so that will also do some animations on the very, very back of the vehicle. And when you've got a phone call coming in, it will also do some sort of animation to show you that as well. Now the main star of the show is this 15.1 inch infotainment screen, which, considering the width of this cabin and how wide the Eletre is, this doesn't look like it's overly large, and it's a good size really. It's not too large, not too in your face, and the software is so slick. It's built on the Unreal Engine, which is from Epic Games, and Epic Games make Fortnite and other popular games like that, and they really do know what they're doing in terms of graphic rendering engines and different things like that. And the Unreal Engine also powers the infotainment screen on the Rivian in America as well. So loads of customizable options in here. You've got a picture of the car, which is sort of a real-time look at what the car's doing. So if I open that door there, you can see it shows you what's happening there. I got moved in position here, so nice and customizable. It would be nice to see that this car would represent the color on the exterior. At the moment it is just a dark gray, but you'll also notice that we've got the roof here. So when you click on the roof and then change the transparency, it does all change. You have got a monochromatic roof on the Eletre, so it'll go fully transparent or block out any light if you need it to. And this kind of thing you've seen on the Volkswagen ID Buzz, for example, the long wheelbase version. That has got the same sort of option. It's really, really good. It's running the Hyper OS from Lotus. It's got a little bit of Geely software in here. So the App Store, for example, you can download certain apps. That is the same as the one you find in the Smart Hashtag 3, which I reviewed pretty recently. And you've got the same sort of apps on here like Spotify and different things. If you want a full in-depth guide on this screen, the screen for the driver, the passenger, the Lotus app for your phone, and the screen in the back, there's a link now in the top right corner or the description down below where I take a full in-depth look at all of those different software applications. But the sort of TLDR is that it is a really, really good software platform. And that leads me on to the driver's display. So we have got a 12.1 inch display for the driver and a 12.1 inch display for the passenger, which they both do obviously different things. So the one for the driver isn't touchscreen, but it's got a really nice and simple feel to it. The typography is really nice. The icons that Lotus have used are really, really simple. And to me anyway, it feels like that this kind of thing might have been designed by Apple, and that is definitely a compliment because it's laid out so nicely and it all works really well. And it's in this very thin screen, had not much depth to it, which means that whichever position you're sat in or where you've got the steering wheel, you can always see all of the information and you're not blocking it in any way. There's also a massive heads-up display, which I think Lotus call it, it's about 27 inches roughly. And that has also got pretty much the same information on there that you've got on this screen. So you've got a bit of duality going on there, which means you can always see what is going on with the car. That same display is on the passenger side, and that is actually a touchscreen. And you can actually swipe between different songs. So you can see what's playing, you can swipe between these radio stations here. If you are playing a song from Apple CarPlay, for example, you can see the you can see the current track, the artwork, and the point in the song. So you've got a tracking bar to show you where you are in the song, and that's about it really. You can't adjust the volume from that screen. You have to do it on this screen here. So down here in the middle, we've got a really lovely designed center console, really big and chunky. It's at a really good height for resting your arm on, and you'll see that there isn't any storage in the middle section. So Lotus have gone for a KEF audio system. It's super powerful. It's got 23 speakers, over 2,000 watts of audio power. And to complement that system, they've put a ginormous sub in the middle of the console here. And that has robbed you of some potential space that you might have had, but the sound system sounds so good, I'm willing to let that slide. So there's actually a lot of stuff going on down here. We've got the central air vent here, and I'll just mention that the air vent position is all adjustable from the touchscreen here. So you just adjust these, and that will adjust where the air is going out of. And you can see just about there's some tiny fins moving inside to let you adjust where the air goes, and it does all work quite well. Got a wireless phone charging pad down here. This doesn't seem that overly powerful. I mean, it does charge a phone fine. Other cars like the BYD Sea Lion 7 has got a 50 watt charger, and it's got air vents to cool down your phone. At certain points, this pad has got quite warm, my phone's got quite warm, and then it's been quite stuttery when using Apple CarPlay. So just bear that in mind. You might want to charge with a cable if you're on a long journey. Most of the air conditioning controls are controlled from the touchscreen, so that involves the fan speed here. But we have got these gorgeous little dials to adjust the temperature. So we've got the hot and cold temperature there for the driver, and then the hot and cold for the passenger there. And you'll notice that these little buttons here, they glow red and glow blue when you're adjusting the temperature, and the same on this side as well. And then you also get that same light in the center bit here and on the dashboard. A lot of nice personality going on in terms of LED lighting, and you just click these in to turn off the air conditioning for each side, and that all works surprisingly well. It is quite a nice little system there. In the central section here, we've got some main controls. We've got the glove box button, so that is openable from a button on the center console. In the glove box itself, we have got a decent amount of space, got a high-vis jacket in there, and the Eletre paperwork, and it is actually a decent size. You can lock all the doors, you can unlock all the doors, max windscreen cooling or defrosting, rear heated window as well, and you can turn the air conditioning onto auto mode, and that will sort itself out for you. It's all quite nice there. We've got the gear selector here, like a little tiny shaver thing, park button, and then you just put down the brake pedal like in any automatic really. Got drive, neutral and reverse, all quite good there. And then we have got the hazard warning switch, which is thankfully a tactile button, all nice and easy to use. There's also something quite unusual in the centre here. So we have got these two cup holders. This little one is perfect for like a Coke can, like a 330ml, sort of just a soft drink can. And they do retract down here, so they do hold a cup in quite nicely. And then you just click a little button inside and they come up quite by themselves. And that keeps it all nice and flush. And we have got this nice metal knurling around the edge there. And the cup grips are quite good. So nothing's really fallen over, and it does hold cups and different cans quite easily in there. And then just back here, we have got a split loading central bin here. Which is so deep, actually. I can get up to my elbow in there. And we have got two USB-C ports. One is for data pass-through for the infotainment screen, and another one is to simply charge. And there is a little 12-volt socket in there for charging other devices or powering other things up. All quite good, and again, that is a really deep storage bin. And it is quite nice that it is split loading there. For the climate control system, there's actually a nice lot of features. We've got a air purification system for the cabin. There's a PM 2.5 filter in here as well, and I'll actually tell you what level it is. At the moment, it is 4 UG per M cubed, or 3. With all the doors closed, it does get down to 1 or 2, so it does work quite well. At the moment, I have got the passenger door open, so that might be why. And it does tell that information in there. There's also 5G connectivity on this screen, and you can connect your phone or other devices to the Wi-Fi hotspot on the car and use that to get online. In this video, I can't demonstrate any of those features because the subscription is not active, but you can use it to stream Spotify. You can also use it to stream Amazon Music, Tidal Music, and there is actually a web browser on here called Vivaldi Browser, and you can just browse the internet and watch YouTube. So a lot of customization and a lot of options here, and it does all work quite well. Just looking up at the roof, we have got that monochromatic sunroof, which is lovely and does keep out the UV rays if you need it to. We've got these two very well finished sun visors with very, very wide mirrors here with some little LED lights to light you up, and it is got a lovely amount of resistance to it. It feels a really, really good quality item, and it is nicely stitched around the edge there. Really, really good quality. Same again for the passenger side, same sort of affair there. In the central section up here, we have got the SOS button, which is actually in the shape, again, of the Lotus emblem, much like the key. Two touch-controlled LED lights here, which do animate in and out quite nicely. And then we have got some controls up here for different things. We have got all lights in the cabin, because there is some nice lights in the back too. There's also some little lights here for if the airbags are turned on or off. And then lastly, we have got some grab handles, which again is nicely stitched in leather. And there is some little microphones dotted around the interior, which helps take care of the active noise cancellation in the car, which when you're driving along, it will play a reverse sound to help minimize the sound outside, getting it inside. We've actually got some quite impressive seats on this particular Eletre, and they are electronically adjustable with 12 different ways, and also you've got those 6 different profiles, so 6 different people can have their own key, and those people can have their own position they want to sit in the car based on steering wheel height and seat position as well. These seats do have heating ability, ventilated as well, and they do have massaging capabilities. And they just are supremely comfortable. Again, these are finished in Napa leather with a lot of Alcantara on the side as well. The Eletre has these electronically opening door handles, which you can click with this button here to pop out the door handles, and they open like standard doors. And if you click that button again, they will close by themselves. If you use the key card, they will open by themselves as well once you hit on the B pillar. And if you walk close to the vehicle with the pebble key, they will again just open and close based on how close you are to the vehicle. Got standard door mirrors on this vehicle. You can also spec the Eletre to have electronic camera mirrors. I personally prefer these standard door mirrors. They look a bit better, but also they don't cost loads and loads of money to add to the vehicle. The camera mirrors should, in theory, help improve the aerodynamic efficiency of the vehicle, but for me, I just prefer the look and feel of these standard mirrors. We've got really, really aggressive rear privacy glass on these windows here and on the boot. And this vehicle has standard active rear steering. So that means the rear wheels will turn a little bit whenever you're moving the front wheels. That's to do 2 things: improve the turning circle on the car, but also improve the stability when cornering on a track or on some B roads. The Eletre also comes in some fairly interesting colours. This one is finished in solar yellow, which actually costs £1,950. And you can't actually get this colour on the base 600 trim. It also comes in 3 different white finishes: a grey, a blossom grey, which has a pink tint, as well as black, this yellow, and green. These wheels that come on the Eletre are actually pretty spicy looking. These are the optional 10-spoke gloss black alloy wheels, and they cost £500. There are some other silver options available at the same size, and there is one optional 23-inch option, which is also gloss black. These brakes are also pretty impressive. They're 412mm at the front and 397mm at the back, and the front calipers are 6 pistons. If you go for the Eletre 900, you will have the option for carbon ceramic brakes. The calipers themselves can be had in either red, yellow, black or green. As you'd probably imagine, the back seats of this car are a really lovely place to spend a journey. We've got 5 seats in this particular version of the Eletre, but for £5,500 you can spec 4 seats, and then this middle bench seat is replaced with a massive centre console with 2 cup holders, much like the ones in the front, and a big screen that goes about here to control a lot of the settings and media in the car. But for this video, I've got the version with the 5 seats. And that means you get this middle seat here. You also get this armrest here, which is really nice and solid. And you get 2 cup holders there for takeaway drinks and different things. And that is really, really nice. It's behind that little tray there. This central section does also fold down here, and you can load up some skis if you want to, and that is nice, covered in carpet. And there is a built-in headrest in this section here, so if you do want to sit in the middle, you can do so, and that is really nice and soft. A lot of central seats, the center section is really high up for some reason, whereas this one is basically the same height as all the other seats there. Really, really quite well done there. We've got pretty much a flat floor in the middle. There is a tiny hump in this section here, but pretty much it is completely flat. We've got a nice ribbon carpet there, which is really nice and thick carpet. It does feel really good quality. You'll also notice this screen here is fitted to the this center console section, and this allows the backseat passengers to control various things. So we have got 4-zone climate control in the Eletre, so you've got 2 in the front and 2 in the back, and you can do that from here. You can control where the air goes from this air vent here. You can also choose to have the air come out of the bottom section as well. These seats, the 2 outer seats, have ventilation and heating function, much like the front, and you can control those from there. But also what you can do is you can control the backrest. So you've got reclining function on these seats here, and you can get a nice comfy position if you want to. So my section is tied with the middle section, so they all move together, but this seat here is by itself, and you can do that from there. Or what you can do is you can come in here and you can actually move the seats from this screen here. So if you click on seat, left adjust, you can do the backrest, and you can move that by itself. Or what you can do is come here and move this seat, and also you can control the front passenger seat here, so you can move this seat forward if you want to, out the way. You can move the seat up and down, and then you can adjust the backrest as well if it is in your way. So that's all quite clever and quite nice. This screen also allows you to control the roof, the monochromatic roof, or intelligent glass roof as it's called, and then you can choose to have this screen change brightness, and you can also have it turn off after a certain amount of time. And you can control the sound, so you've got the source, stage or spatial sound zone, so you can choose to have the sound sound different in the back. And you've also got things like the volume back here, so you can control the volume, so just do that. And you've got you can just turn this display off by itself. That's all quite nice there. Now in terms of legroom, I've got loads and loads of legroom. Now this seat is set up in my driving position. I'm around 5'7" in height, so you can see I've got loads and loads of legroom here, loads and loads of room underneath the driver's seat, and this is as low as the driver's seat goes. So you can even see with that height there, I've still got a load of room. I'm sat up right here, and I've got a really good amount of headroom, and the panoramic roof obviously doesn't have a blind, but it hasn't impacted at all on any of the headroom. And the Eletre is quite a tall car, so that does impact that as well. Up here we've got some nice leather wrapped handles, a coat hook and a microphone for the active noise cancellation system. Got a speaker here, and with 2 fingers you can turn these little LED lights on. There we go, and that is quite nice there. This door card here isn't too high, and these windows they might look a little bit strange on camera, but they have got quite aggressive privacy glass, so that is basically why that looks a bit strange. Got another coat hook here, the speaker for the audio system, an air vent here, which is quite nice to see, some carbon fibre on this section here, and some buttons to control the windows. So what you can actually do, which is quite unusual, is you can control both of the windows from either side. So if you don't want this window open and you want that one open for any reason, you can do it from this side. I've not seen that on any car that I've tested before. There is a button to open the door, and then if that doesn't work for any reason, you can use the emergency pull button there. And it is all, much like the front, finished in a lovely combination of leather and Alcantara. It does all feel quite nice. I mean, I've got some ambient lighting in the door cards there. On the back of this seat, we have got some shiny black plastic with the Lotus emblem. And then we have got a little bit of storage in there, again, which is finished in like felt and leather as well, and some red stitching. Much like the front, all the seat belts in this car are finished in the red, and that is even for the middle passenger there, so it does all look quite nice there. These headrests here are really nice and comfortable. They've got like a three-fold design to them, and they are height adjustable as well. And generally, everything back here just feels exceptionally good quality. I think that's where Lotus are heading. They are heading into the luxury car space, as I said earlier, as well as doing sports cars as well. And the Eletre is a really solid example of where the company is headed. While the front of the Eletre is actually quite aggressive in terms of its design, with all those fins and active aero going on all over the place, it makes the rear of the car look a little bit more plain and a little bit more restrained. However, there is quite a bit going on still. So we have got this nice aggressive spoiler at the top, which helps improve the aero. Got holes in the bodywork here to allow air pass through. And also down here, got a massive gaping hole there to relieve the pressure out of the wheel arch. All quite impressive. This section up here is where the LiDAR would be if this car had it fitted. But there is a camera there, which is used for the ADAS systems and the adaptive cruise control. So it does have some function. And at the front, above the windscreen, there would be another sensor there if this car, again, had LiDAR. Not a problem. Got this nice wide LED light bar, which does glow and animate in different ways. So if the car's charging, it will glow green. If you walk away from the car, it will do a banding animation in green as well. All quite nice, really. Got the Lotus brand spelled out in letters. That's something Lotus has done for quite a while. So a lot of car manufacturers are moving from having logos on the back to just having the brand spelled out in letters. And that is actually something Lotus has done for a very long time. Got the Eletre logo down here, and then the 600 badge, which lets you know which version of the car it actually is. Got a nice big black diffuser down the bottom with quite a nice departure angle there. There is an off-road mode on the Eletre. Not sure how well that would work, but the car is four-wheel drive, so it might actually work quite well. Got some parking sensors and the rear reversing camera. All pretty standard stuff, really. And the rear window here is really heavily tinted, and there's no rear wiper at all. Now this big section here is actually where the spoiler goes, and there's actually three different modes for the spoiler. So this is position 0, this is position 1, and this is position 2. Now when you open this boot up, it does open electronically by itself, and that reveals a really decent amount of boot space. It's actually 688 litres of space, which is really impressive. Now the Eletre has quite an interesting party piece, and that is active air suspension, and that does mean you can lower the ride height for easy access to the boot, and you can do that from a button press here. So that hissing noise is the chambers being emptied of air. There we go, and you get a much lower access height for loading suitcases if you need to do that. Now I did say this got 688 litres, and that is really impressive, but that is just in this space here. There is a little bit more space underneath this false floor here, enough room for a warning triangle and a tyre mobility kit. Now because the Eletre is all-wheel drive, there's no space underneath that bit there. That's where basically the rear motor is located. Elsewhere we've got some tie-down points here, a 12-volt socket for powering up devices or a fridge or something, and it does go back quite far. There's also this hard load cover here, which is designed to hide away your items from prying eyes, and it does provide a nice tray table for when you're trying to rearrange your boot a little bit. You could also change a baby's nappy on there if you wanted to. There is that option there if you want to as well. If you fold these rear seats down, you do get over 1,500 litres of boot space. Now you can see it goes back pretty far. If I take this tray table out here, gives you a better view of what's going on. You can see the rear seats don't fold down completely flat. There's a bit of a height difference at the back there, but where the seats do meet the boot space itself, that is thankfully flush, which means suitcases should go in no problem. All pretty good really, and quite a good, well-spec'd family vehicle for luggage space. Now, one of the things you should know about driving the Lotus Eletre is the sheer size of this car. It's over 5 meters long, and it's just incredibly wide as well. But the way that Lotus have set this car up, it doesn't feel big at all. Other cars like the Kia EV9 are about this length, but they just feel a lot wider, a lot bigger than this actually does. This car's got active rear wheel steering, which makes the car feel more agile. It's got continuous dampers, which make the ride a bit more stable. It's also got anti-roll control, and all of those things in combination make this car ride exceptionally well. So it's really, really comfortable, but when you want to push it a bit harder, it handles just really, really well at the same time. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this particular Eletre has actually got 603 horsepower, and that's coming from 2 electric motors, one on the front and one at the back. If you want a bit more power, there is the Eletre 900, which has around 900 horsepower, and that is just exceptionally powerful. This particular one will also do 0 to 62 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds. Now, as you probably heard there, the ADAS system, or the lane assistant basically, was chiming in, mentioning that I was getting too close to the white line. Now, one of the things I have run into is the fact that this car is exceptionally wide, and it doesn't particularly work that well on some of the British B roads that you might come across. And if you are too close to the line, it might not have the best of time. So my personal recommendation is to probably turn that off, but just be wary how wide this car is on some of these back roads like this. Now, while I'm just mentioning the ADAS systems, one of the things I have come across quite a few times in the past week of driving this car is when you've got the adaptive cruise control turned on and the active steering assistant. If you are coming across a slip road where you're leaving the motorway and you've got those dotted lines, this car will try and turn down the slip road even if you aren't planning on turning down that road as part of your destination. It just seems to get a tad confused at where the motorway changes from solid lines to dotted lines, and you can actively see on the screen that it wants to turn down there for some strange reason. Now, I will just stress that this particular Eletre doesn't have the LiDAR system as one of its optional extras. I don't know if that will actually fix that issue, but it does seem a little bit strange as other cars don't seem to have that problem. The active air suspension also does an incredibly good job in ironing out the bumps and lumps and different horrible surfaces that we find on British roads at the moment, and it just makes the ride incredibly supple and comfortable and just a nice relaxing drive. Obviously, you have got the different drive modes like Sport, where it will stiffen itself up and become a bit more aggressive and a bit more Lotusy. But at the moment, I've been driving the car in range mode just so I can eke out more range out of the battery, but it's been incredibly comfortable. Now, on the steering wheel itself, we have got some nice metal paddles. On the right is the paddle for drive mode, so you can nicely switch between those. And then on the left-hand side is your regen adjustment. So we have got 4 different levels of regen. So if I put it into the first one now, so that is just completely off. The car will just coast along like any other car, really. And then we've got level 1, which is a bit slowing me down at a good rate. Got level 2. It's quite aggressive. Level 3, and that will bring you to a complete stop, almost like one pedal driving. So that is pretty good. Now, in terms of driving modes, we have got range, and if you click the minus button, that goes up. We have got off-road mode, which brings the ride height quite high. If we click minus again, got individual, which you can customize what you want there. We've got the sport mode, and that will lower the suspension down. And also will pump up the side bolstering on the seats, and that will make the steering a bit more aggressive. We've got tour mode, which will set the ride height a bit differently and set the car up for sort of just cruising along. And then we have got a bit more stronger regen in tour mode actually. And that is nearly full one pedal actually. So if I put the car into range mode, the one pedal drive mode is slightly different to the tour mode actually, which is a little bit interesting. So we have actually got proper one pedal driving in tour mode, which is quite nice. And then if we kick the car into sport mode now, everything gets a bit more stiff. The throttle is giving me a bit more performance, so I'm getting more throttle performance out of whatever position I've got on the pedal there. And the steering has got a bit more firm, a bit more direct. It's quite nice. And this is where you unlock sort of full acceleration. The car just seems to fly along the road a bit more willingly than you would get in the the range mode. Steering is a lot more precise, a lot more responsive than it is in the other modes, and it just dives into every corner with such ease. It's so lovely. Lotus have done such a really, really good job in terms of handling on this car, and it really, as you can see, it's a bit more bumpy now, but it really deals with its weight so easy. Just makes it feel that it weighs a lot less than it actually does. And the car just feels like it's gliding along the road. Obviously, a bit more stiff than it was a bit earlier. Yep. Throttle pedal's a bit more instantaneous. Yeah, the ride is definitely a bit more stiff, because this car can be a really relaxing cruiser when it's in range and tour mode. It just becomes a very, very different animal once you're in sport mode. So I compare that to what it's been doing in range mode, for example. Yeah, everything just calms down, the ride becomes a lot more supple, the ride height goes up slightly, ever so slightly, and the steering is a lot more slow, a lot more relaxed. This car's got multiple personalities, and that means it can do multiple things. If you want to have a bit of fun on some B roads or on track, you can do that with this car. It's not one thing or the other. And in range mode, you get a bit more range, obviously, and this becomes a lot softer, a lot more relaxing to drive, because in sport mode on this bit of road here, it was becoming a little bit jiggly, a little bit bumpy, but obviously it's to make sure that the handling is exactly what you want out of this section of road. So I'm just going to pull up here on the road and do a very quick 0 to 62 test. So we're going to stop here. We're in sport mode, and 3, 2, 1, go. And that's 60 there. So that's, yeah, this one can do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. The R version can do it around 3 seconds, but this is perfectly fast enough for everyday use. Just really, really quick. Just gets off the line so quickly considering how big and heavy this car is.
And lastly, the efficiency. During my time with this car, I was seeing around 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour at motorway speeds. The official range on this 600 Sport SE is 329 miles. The entry-level 600 with the base alloys does offer around 350 to 360 miles. On slower B and A roads, I was seeing nearly 4 miles per kilowatt hour, but considering Lotus quote 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour efficiently, I don't think this is too bad really.
So in conclusion, what do I think about the Lotus Eletre? Well, as I've mentioned in this video, the technology inside is incredibly impressive. The EV platform this sits on is bespoke to Lotus and has some really, really impressive specs. We've got that really fast charging speed, the nearly 800 volt architecture, just a massive battery and incredible performance. And I don't think that this is simply some large electric SUV with a Lotus badge slapped on it. Yes, it has great technology, yes, it looks really good, but at the end of the day, a Lotus needs to be good to drive, and this is really, really good to drive, and it also makes you feel special, which is really, really important. Lotus also may have upset some loyal fans of the brand by launching an EV SUV. They're the two kinds of worst things for those kind of people. But EVs are here to stay, and they are the fastest growing market for new and used cars in the UK, and it's one of the ways which Lotus is going to be able to stick around and make the kind of cars it wants to make. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Lotus wants to be two kinds of companies. It wants to be a sports car company, which it's always been, but also a luxury car company, which it's kind of moving into with the Eletre and the Emea. Those two cars kind of are sitting in two camps really. They are very, very luxurious inside, but they are incredible to drive at the same time. And on the other side of the coin, we have the Evija and the Emira, which are sort of really, really focused sports cars, which the Lotus brand is known for. Now, overall, I've been really, really impressed with the Eletre. It's a really, really interesting car, really luxurious, and it just turns heads everywhere. It's a really, really impressive car to drive too. However, I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. Would you buy the Eletre, or would you rather stick with the Emira? I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. I've been Alex, and I'll see you again next time.